Right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to SW6 Blues, Pride of London. Today, we have the great pleasure of part 2 with Mick Robinson and Matty Nash from UK Casuals is with us as well. Good afternoon, Matty. Good afternoon, Mick.
Afternoon, Mark.
First question to Mick. Right, we're doing part 2, Mick. First one got really good reviews and good comments about the interview. It was brilliant. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You come across really well. And you've got some good news for us. You've got interest from people who want to feature you in a book. Is that true?
Yeah, literally within the day of it going out, Mark Worrell, was it?
Yeah, Mark Worrell, yeah.
Who's, as you well know, has done a load of Chelsea books. He's more the stats and sort of facts side of it, isn't he? So they're doing on that season, and he's asked me to be interviewed within that for that book, which will be, he's going to come down to my pub in Brighton sort of soonish and do it. But then on top of that, he said, would you consider reforming the band for a gig? Which people have asked before, but at first I was like, no way, I just don't want to do it. Because I thought there's nothing worse than us lot standing on stage looking ridiculous. But then I thought about it, and I mean, none of the band members are still around. So the guitarist in New Zealand, the singer, he lives in Scotland, he's gone AWOL. The drummer actually is in Brighton. I did get in touch with him, but he said he ain't played in years. And then I started thinking, well, look, it's going to be at Under the Bridge as well. So I thought it'd be a lovely thing to go back to where it all began, well, not all began, but where we played and all the rest of it. And I thought, well, if we could just get a couple of songs together, why not? So I've said we're going to do it. So that's the end of next week.
So Mick, was this already in the line, or was this because of the podcast?
Because of the podcast, yeah, totally.
Oh, great.
100%.
Yeah, that's really good news.
So we if all goes well, we're going to play at Under the Bridge at the last game of the season coming. So, I mean, it's kind of apt, it all, going back to our roots as it were, and the original place where we played that in the 83-84 season. Yeah, so brilliant. So I'm going to use my mate who's a guitarist down here. My cousin's son is a drummer and he knows the song because he's played it a few times himself. I'll play the bass and I'm going to get another guy from down here who's in a band to do the vocals. And I haven't actually been to that venue, but I've heard it's really top class. Is that right?
They've had a few good bands there, Mick, haven't they, over the years at that venue?
Yeah. Have you been?
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah, they've had some great bands there. And the other thing, not only has Mark Worrell spoke about you reforming the band, I've had about 10, 12 comments, honestly, straight up, with people texting me and messaging me, ask me, why don't you get the band together? Because all this casual thing now is big business.
Yeah, I know.
You sort of was in a bit of a denial. You were a casual band, but you were always billed as a casual band. And people are saying, what with all this revival of like 80s classics on the website and Clobber and all that, you'd smash it, mate. And honestly, I've had about 10, 12 people say, tell me to reform the band. You get a bit of a cult following, I reckon.
Yeah, well, I mean, the only thing that put us off was I didn't want to be like a load of old blokes on stage kind of thing. But but the more I think about it, fuck it. Let's do it.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck it. Yeah.
I mean, that is absolutely brilliant. Just from that podcast, something's happened. You've just answered my next question, Mick. Where are the band now? You've just answered that anyway.
So, the other thing.
And the other thing you've answered that. Yeah, go on, Mick. Sorry.
I haven't played a bass since those kind of days either. So, it's going to be a few refresher lessons, rehearsals to get it going. But we are going to do it anyway. We are, definitely.
Good.
Brilliant.
Because you did say, Mick, that you was more into, that you really wanted to promote. You didn't really want to play, but you wanted to advertise bands and promote them. So this must be a real big thing for you to get back playing.
Well, I never considered it for years, and then with all the interest that's been growing a little bit here and there, and then culminating in the interview last week, I just thought, actually, it ain't such a bad idea. I mean, I don't have to use the original members because, well, they're not about, because that was sort of a worry for me. But then I thought, well, let's just do it. Perhaps start with 3 or 4 songs and see where it goes from now.
Exactly.
Because I must make a little bit of plug-in. We have got a CD of a live gig we did at the King's Head in Fulham, on Fulham High Street, not the one that was on King's Fulham Road. The one that was at the right bottom of the Fulham Road. There used to be a great little venue there where you played there, and we got a live CD of it. And these guys, I think they were Italian, got in touch a couple of years ago, and they brought it out. And it's actually, I'll give that a little plug if anyone wants a copy.
Have you got a copy of that? Mick,
yeah,
have you got a copy of that CD?
Yeah.
Could you send
you a link?
Could you send us a link so I can put it on this channel?
Yeah,
I'd love to get it. You know what I mean? I think that would be brilliant, mate. No, send me a link or send me a picture of the CD as well, and I'll plug it, get it going.
Right. And then I'll get rid of that box of 20 I've had under my bed for the last couple. No, it's a good CD, though.
I think that's great from the amount of interest that's come from that from that last podcast. I think that's fantastic. Yeah. I really do.
Yeah, and on my own page, I've got a load of people commenting, and as always with these things, you get people from other teams commenting. You know, quite complimentary rather than derogatory for a change. So that's quite nice as well.
And do you ever look back, Mick, and regret anything you've done with the band, or not going far?
Well, I think we could have appreciated more what we did at the time. Looking back, we actually achieved quite a lot, and we had like publicity. We were on the front page of Sounds with Gary Bushell's, we said, and you know, we were getting demos with EMI and all these sort of things. And if we were a bit more sort of clued up, and if we had a proper manager, we had a good starting point to build on, you know. But we sort of took it for granted, and we had a good following as well. But we, you know, when you're like in your early 20s or whatever, I didn't really appreciate what we were doing. But now looking back, we done really well considering. And it was a good starting point to sort of springboard.
Yeah, I mean, you did say, Mick, in the last interview that you obviously your manager was from Stewart's and he didn't have a clue. He could sell clothes, but he didn't have a clue. So probably that let you down a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we did purely use. We knew he couldn't. You know, he weren't. Was it Epstein or whatever? We knew it. But we sort of self-managed, but in the end that became like it held us back basically. And then you kind of vulnerable to all the record industry sharks are out there that kind of you know promise you the earth and nothing comes of it. But as a band who just done it all themselves, got some free clobber from Stewart's, we did all right looking back. You know, I mean, as I said, to get things and even to build a following is hard enough nowadays, isn't it? I mean,
and to get some free clobber. It's always
exactly, we were selling out the Fulham Greyhound, the Rock Garden in Covent Garden. We used to play the Clarendon, all these places, and we had a good few hundred people used to come and follow us. And we actually set up the Casual Beat Club, as we called it, above the King's Head in Fulham, that one on Fulham High Street that I was talking about, and that got quite a few reviews in music papers and all that at the time. We had loads of letters in Sounds at the time because we were, like, as I said before, blokes in tracksuits on the front page of a rock paper, you know, rock in commas. And they hated it. You know, all their people who read that paper absolutely hated it. And they were sending in all these letters, having a go at us, you know, and all that. So we did generate a lot of publicity as well. So I think, in answer to your question, looking back, we could have done a lot more, really. We could have. Because
second time round, Mick, you never know. Second time round.
I mean,
dream on about that Ferrari. Dream on about that Ferrari. I Bentley convertible is coming.
You never know. You never know. We want one first.
Well, look, if a bit of fun comes out of it, great. Even go back to Chelsea, to the same place in virtually the end of the season like it was before. That's a dream come true in itself, you know. So great.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
You spoke about playing the bass, Mick. Did you do you play guitar as well, or just bass?
No, just bass. It was just bass. Yeah.
And were you self-taught?
It was easy. It was the easiest one to learn.
Was you self-taught? Yeah.
Yeah.
You never had lessons or nothing.
No.
And who was your big influence as a bass player?
Bruce Foxton from the Jam. John Jack Burnell, Stranglers, probably the greatest, but obviously I could nowhere match his sort of level of skill. But Bruce Foxton, the Jam, 100%.
He was your big. What about the old sort of rockers like out of Jack Bruce, out of Cream and all them? Did you like any of them? Or?
Yeah, I didn't know so much about him. But I tell you who was a big influence was Paul Simonon from The Clash, because He famously taught himself, and he had all stickers on his bass with all the notes on it when he started. So I was a bit like him. Yeah, like A, B, D, E, and all that. So, I mean, that was that punk ethic, wasn't it? You know, do it yourself. So,
well, that's what we were saying the other week. Anyone in a punk band, we were saying on the last interview, could just crack on and be in a band, couldn't they? And practice and learn as they went, sort of thing, like Steve Jones out of Pistols. Exactly, and was drugs a big thing was drugs a big thing around much, Mick, when you was? I know you're laughing, but was drugs?
not in accent days, no, not at all. No, it was just purely boozing. Booze,
beer.
Beer. Yeah.
So like Charlie and all that weren't really a big thing in the music industry.
Not then, not early 80s, not at all. Well, not where we were anyway. No.
Yeah, couldn't afford it.
No, I mean that. Yeah,
okay, Mick. Yeah. I'd like to take you back to the Sounds magazine, and you was on the front cover, and you said that you got a bit of hate because you was all in the casual clobber tracksuit. How did that actually come about then? Because, you know, to get on the front cover of a magazine is a big thing.
Yeah, well, again, Gary Bushell all the way. So he'd been to we sent him the fanzine, as I mentioned before. He came to the gig, he reviewed it, he loved the band, and he really wanted to get behind us. And he said, well, look, I'm going to put you on the cover. And I can still remember running down Fulham Palace Road to go and buy it that day because I was so excited. We were on the front page of a music paper, and it was still selling a few copies then, you know. Sounds, Enemy and all them were big. So it's Gary Bushell all the way, and it put us on the cover, and that was next level. But I thought he thought that we were going to go far. You know, he did totally believe in us.
Yeah. Did he ever offer to manage you, Mick? Did he ever want to manage you, Gary Bushell?
No, he didn't actually, but that would have been a good idea. See, that's the sort of thing I should have thought of then. But I don't think he was managing. Well, I don't know, it might have been, but yeah, that would be a good idea, wouldn't it? We needed someone with experience.
Yeah, I mean, you were also part of the Casuals documentary, which I've seen. Yes. Did you enjoy taking part in that, Mick?
Oh yeah, I loved it. I mean, you know, Cass obviously, he was behind it, and when he contacted me at first, I was a bit like, oh, it's a bit weird, you know, what's he contacting me for, type thing. But then, and then I got to know him, and actually, he's a really nice guy. I've got to say that on record. And he wanted to do the article because he'd heard about the band. Because he said the only thing that was missing in that documentary was the link with music. And so, in many ways, we were that linking with music because Casuals weren't massively known. We weren't like a music-related smash.
No, it wasn't. No, it was more clobber and more going to football. Yeah.
So we were at like the missing link, as it were, and then when he heard about Pat Nevin, that was like the dream ticket for him because it gave it a bit of, you know, someone not so much a celebrity, but someone who was well known. Yeah, kudos, to add to it. And as always, Pat Nevin, as I think I did mention briefly in the last one, Open Arms, he sorted out all the filming at Chelsea. So this was probably, I don't know, 10 years or so ago now. So again, it was the new Chelsea by that point. So it was all security everywhere and all that. And you had to get passes to go in there and go through, jump through a load of hoops to do it. But Pat Nevin was there for it all when he sorted it all out. And we had free access to the whole ground. You know, it's brilliant.
Oh,
and all thanks.
Yeah.
And he did a lovely little piece in it. I think you've probably seen it.
Yeah, no, he did. Yeah, very supportive.
He's always better.
He was gutted that by the time he got changed, he missed your set.
Yeah. He's probably putting air gel in money or something. But I'm still just. Yeah,
well, after that, Mick, you spoke about last time about the rave scene. Now, I'm going to be really honest, and Matt's going to laugh. I didn't get it. So, what made you go from the casual scene to the rave scene? We never spoke about it last time.
There was a kind of progression in when the casual thing for me personally, and a lot of my pals sort of faded out. We were starting to drink more down the King's Road. The Chelsea Potter, remember the Chelsea Potter?
Yeah.
And he used to have a really good jukebox and they'd play a bit of varied music. And also there was a load of guys in there going in there who were also Chelsea fans, meet up before the game. But they were all going to the Mud Club and all them sort of clubs beforehand and all them like the Electric Ballroom on a Saturday night and the sort of underground soul clubs. that were around at that time. And that kind of morphed into the acid house scene. There was there was a bit of house music within it, but then suddenly that explosion kicked off. And a lot of the main faces in the acid house scene were Chelsea fans, coincidentally. You know, like Gary Aisman. Remember Gary?
Yeah.
Years ago. And they were all Chelsea fans, big Chelsea fans, and that's why there's quite a big Chelsea acid house movement at that time.
I mean,
he died recently.
I think you're right, Mick. That's how it happened. Yeah, a lot of the football lads moved over to the acid house scene, which then became the rave scene. And in a lot of ways, that kind of killed the casual scene because everyone was loving each other. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So Gary Aisman also did that record Acid, you know, the famous Acid one that got in the charts. And he was really well known for Chelsea, wasn't he, Gary Aisman?
Yeah.
And he was
met him a few times.
Yeah, leading people in that scene. And then there was Terry Farley, Steve Mays and all them. And they created that fanzine they called Boys Own. And it was kind of about music and a little bit about football, but it was all of them in Chelsea who wrote it. So that's the link there. And that's why they still do. They've got a flag at Chelsea somewhere, which Chelsea Acid House. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah. I think
I'm wearing now. That's my Chelsea Acid House one.
Suprema.
Because they do T-shirts and all that as well now. That lot.
Yeah. So that's Rob the Santos, isn't it? Rob
that's it.
Yeah, lovely fella, Rob.
Yeah, brilliant.
He was banging for the rave scene. But I met Gary a couple of times, and I was at a book launch, and he come up and introduced himself, and he said, because I don't know fuck all about the rave scene. You know, I never got into it, and I was never into E's and all that. I wouldn't even take fucking junior aspirin when I was young, but so I wouldn't be dropping E's and all that bollocks. But anyway, he come up to me at a book launch. He said, "Oh, I'm the man who done the Acid record. Acid, wasn't it? He done the singing that Acid." I looked at him, I went, yeah, and he was like amazed. But everyone said to me, "Do you know who he is?" I went, "No." He said, "He's the geezer who done the Acid thing." I said, "Oh, right." But he was a really lovely fellow. And sadly, he died about 2 years ago, a couple of years ago. He died. He was a really nice man. But really it was a bit unstable. Not horrible, but he was a bit of an eccentric character, wasn't he, Gary? Wasn't he?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and, a really nice man.
They had a wake for him, a couple of years ago now, I guess, in Harlesden, above a pub in Harlesden, and Norman J DJ for him, who's a massive Spurs fan, and he made a big speech at the end, like, I can see there's a few Chelsea in him and all that sort of thing, and everyone was cheering him, and they were all sort of pals, Norman J, all the Boys Own lot, and Gary Aisman. It was that little underground pub scene that went on to be the Acid House scene, and then that obviously went massive, you know, but they Sorry?
Was there any? And it was. I mean, West Ham, the Birdman, Swallow, and all that little lot. They reckon they started the rave scene up. And
no way. No way. I mean, they did. The rave scene.
What is your story about how it started and why it started?
The actual Acid House scene, the bit before rave when it went massive. I'm probably right. Swallow and all them did the Centre Force radio and all that.
That's it.
They sort of masses, I guess. Yeah. But the little bit before it, when it was building, was very much a lot of Chelsea involved and a lot of Arsenal, again, as we said the other week. Yeah. We were quite into the club. And it was just like a small little club. I think Future was the first one. Oh, Shum, of course. Shum and Future. They're tiny little clubs where it all kicked off, and it was all like the baggy clothes and dungarees and smiley T-shirts and these, as she said, and house music. But it weren't just house music. They used to play a lot of things like the Wooden Tops and actually, I suppose that's where the rave took it, like the banging house music. But before that, it was kind of all sorts of music all thrown in the pot, you know. But it started, I would say Shum Club was pretty much the start, with Oakenfold as well, another Chelsea fan, Paul Oakenfold, of course.
Yeah, massive name in the rave scene. DJ Oakenfold, massive.
So there was a little hub of Chelsea fans amongst that. And the West Ham lot were definitely took it to the raves, I guess. And Centre Force radio. But I think all our lot have moved on by then, you know. When it goes to the mass, you know, people that create them things, when it goes to the masses, they kind of go on saying, that's enough. I think that's what happened with Boys Own and Farley and Haseman.
So you've just explained to me, which I never knew, Mick, you've educated me, that there were two different movements. There was acid house and the rave scene weren't the same thing. Totally different.
Well, I guess rave was like when it became commercial. So they stopped calling it acid house. I mean, the acid house bit of it probably only lasted a year, 2 year and a half, 2 years tops.
Yeah, I'd say so.
And then by the time it got so big, it was all the M25s, all that.
Yeah.
See, it was more just house then, wasn't it? I think, and it was rave, and it was all the bigger the better. Yeah. But I mean, that scene was great as well. I'm not knocking that at all because that was amazing. All them massive parties were more word of mouth virtually, flyers or ring
subculture.
Someone at a phone bar, petrol station. Yeah, and totally. I mean, the police didn't know what they couldn't control it at all. But also, for them, I think it was like thousands of people meet in a field and get on. What's wrong with that, really?
Yeah.
But I think then, the Sun and all that sort of, all the shock horror thing about it, and then they had to sort of clamp down on it.
Yeah.
Because initially, it was just one big dancing and smiling and getting on, and it's actually not actually a problem, is it, as such? But I think because it was all illegal, no one was making money out of it in government. It was like cash flowing around, black market cash. So these are all them reasons why they probably put the stops on it. Ultimately.
There was a lot of people who ran it made a lot of money though, Mick, didn't they?
Yeah, probably big all money, them lot.
Yeah. And there was like criminal. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard he paid a tribute to Mugsy the other week on his show.
I heard that the other day,
Yeah, that's nice.
I must mention that we lost one of our boys, Chelsea, little Mugsy, lovely fella, game as fuck, really funny, brilliant little geezer, but a massive personality. Yeah.
And he was part of that crew. And when Boys Home did a party once, one of the most famous kind of illegal parties at a farm somewhere in the middle of nowhere, but it weren't thousands of people, it was just hundreds. They called it a mystery tour. And Mugsy turned up with his mate as a pantomime cow. The two of them were in a cow thing. That's the sort of guy he was. He's walking around this field as a cow.
Would have been a fucking shit and pony with him in the back, wouldn't it? Because it was
I think it was a bit on the slant, yeah. That's Mugsy.
You got into DJing as well, or MCing, or whatever you call it nowadays, didn't you, or whatever? You got into being on the radio.
Oh, yeah, that's what I do now. Yeah, I've got a show every week. I started doing one, I've done it for about 5-6 years now, but I do it on a regular basis every Friday. It's on the net, obviously, and then goes all over the place, basically. Yeah, got listeners in Australia, America, everywhere. Yeah, I really like it. Play a bit of everything. I promote new bands on now. Yeah.
What radio stations? Give it a plug. Give it a plug, mate.
Yeah. Well, it's called Monty Platters because I used to have the Monty pubs, and Slack Radio every Friday afternoon, 2:00. Yeah. I'll put a link on the bottom of this again.
Of course you can. Yeah. So what do you see yourself doing in the next few years then, Mick?
Well, I'm going to obviously tour the world with Accent. No.
With me as your manager. I'll be your manager.
With one song. We'll just... it's a deal. We'll just do one song. We can pull off the tour playing one song. Brilliant. No, I'm going to keep running the pub. I love doing that at the moment. Last couple of weeks, I've had a load of bands down there. Been great. I'm just talking to Don Letts to DJ down there soon. He's going to play. I'm hoping to get Pat Nevin down there to DJ, actually, because Pat Nevin DJs, doesn't he? And I still speak to him occasionally. So I'm going to get him down for... I'm going to keep doing that for the time being. After that, I don't know. I don't really make long-term plans anymore because no point.
Yeah. And how many listeners you get on your radio show? Mick, how many would you say? Couple thousand or?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And I see you played the 101ers the other day.
Yeah, I did. I'll give you a name check for that.
Brilliant. Yeah, when you said to me you were playing the 101ers PCR, can you play Stranded by the Saints?
Oh, top record. They were a brilliant band, weren't they? Saints.
Oh, amazing. Fantastic Aussie band, weren't they? Yeah.
No, I think they didn't look like punks either. So when they came to England, when punk was happening, they all had long hair and things.
That's right. So that was like hippies, weren't they?
Yeah. They were brilliant, weren't they?
Well, my favourite band at that time were Television. They done Marquee Moon. Do you remember Marquee Moon?
Yeah.
My favourite album of all time, that is. Brilliant.
New York. They're out of New York, I think.
That's a New York band. Yeah. Unique sound they got. They had a unique sound, Television, didn't they?
Yeah.
So just quickly, Mick, before you go, when you played before the Barnsley game, I was just doing a check. Chelsea, before you played, you must have been a good luck charm. They went 17 games undefeated that season. Did you know that? No. They won 13 and draw 4, and Pat Nevin and Kerry Dixon were the top scorers. Then you played, and then the week before we beat Man City away 2-0.
Oh yeah, on the telly.
Paul Canaville played, had a blinder of a game. Regardless what he says about us Chelsea fans hating him, that's not true. There might have been a few idiots, but that's not true. But I won't get on that. But there you go. And then you played, and then we won at Grimsby the week after, and we went up on goal difference against Sheffield Wednesday. So you were a good luck charm of us going up that year. We went 17 games undefeated. So that's good at the end of the season.
We beat Leeds by a big score, didn't we? Like 5-0 or something.
5-0. They smashed the scoreboard up. Was you at that game? They wrecked the scoreboard, didn't they?
Yeah. But I was in the
you was a good luck charm that season, and I hope it turns round for you, because honestly, Mick, there's a lot of interest in what you're going to do now. So grab the ball by the arms and onwards and upwards, mate. That's what you want to do. I think you'll do well.
No, I've got DVDs. Accent Live at the King's Head Fulham. I've got
put it up, stick it up. We'll back you all the way, mate. Just quickly, who was your favourite Chelsea player of all time?
Blimey, I mean, from that era, definitely Nevin.
Yeah.
Oh, but I mean, before that, Osgood was a legend, but I hardly saw him play. So Nevin for me, Nevin, and then beyond that, Zola, probably Zola actually.
Yeah,
Zola,
you picked him up. He was a genius, Zola, wasn't he? Yeah. And so was Pat. Little Pat was as well. Yeah.
So that style of player, I think everyone likes that style of player, don't they? You know, the little skillful winger, should we say, whatever.
The same as Hazard, where we just saw Steve Hazard as well. He was a similar sort of player, wasn't he? You know, I mean, that's great. Well, your internet's playing up, Mick, or one of ours internet is playing up. But it's great to have you on a part 2, mate.
Nice one.
And I wish you all the best. And we're sure we will get back and do a part 3 when you're doing your
I was just going to say that, Martin. Yeah. We'll have to find out how the reforming of accent and how Mick got on from the podcast.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's all. Thanks for that. Thanks, Mick. Right, cheers, mate.
Cheers. All the best.
Thanks very much, mate. Have a good afternoon. Right. Cheers, Mick. Ta-ra, mate.